Yes. Well, thank you for the introduction. I hope this works. Well, it does. Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. So I'm a PhD candidate, indeed, at the Erasmus University, the Erasmus School of Health Policy and Management. And I'm going to tell you something about measuring mental health quality of life in R. So the same as Elina also had this morning, it's not really advanced R, but it's more like a roadmap of how to use R within a psychometric evaluation of a new instrument. So the new instrument which we had is the MHQoL, the mental health quality of life measurement, which is like, I think it developed 2 or 3 years ago. And we did a psychometric evaluation about it. So we did that for 2 reasons: for the internal consistency, also for validity, also to see whether we can use it like more within mental health aspects. We know that within mental health it's very difficult also to capture the quality of life. We see that in EQ5Ds, also in economic evaluations, that there is more or less no differences in quality of life between different, whether you're in the control condition or in the intervention condition. I'm sorry. So we really try to develop an instrument which also captures this kind of quality of life. But we also used R for it for automated scoring and reproducible evaluation. So what this project delivers was like a psychometric analysis workflow in R, a custom R package. That was also because we saw, for example, in the EQ5D, that you can automate the scoring and the MHQoL score recalculation. We thought it's more or less the same, so we can also use that for this one. And also to get a consistent scoring logic. And the interactive Shiny app, we also developed that one because, lots of people also don't use any R, but are using the questionnaire. So we also wanted to have a Shiny app in which you can put in their input and get the output out of it. And that's also why you get a fully reproducible pipeline from like the scoring, the questionnaire itself, and then eventually the output. So what I said, like the integrated workflow, you collect the responses, then you go on to the recalculation of scores using the R package. Then you can also use the Shiny app if you don't want to use R for the visual summary. And then you do the psychometric analysis in R. And after that, you can interpret and report the results. And you can do that yourself with R, but also within the Shiny app itself. I hope I can reload this right now. And if I have any Wi-Fi. Well, like we had the R package, and on the other side we had the Shiny interface. So the R package if you want to use your R for yourself, and if you also want to have more grip on what you are doing. And the Shiny interface, and I come back to that later also, if you just want to get the questions and get some output out of it, also to get your first presentation of results. But first also to get an idea of what the MHQoL is. Like what I already said, it's a mental health quality of life questionnaire. We produce it because of the EQ5D itself was not very sensitive for mental health output. And it also includes the same as the EQ5D as it's instead of a 5-item questionnaire, it's a 7-item questionnaire. And it also includes the same as the EQ5D, a visual analog scale for overall mental well-being. So this is something I already addressed. And it also captures, like, for example, where in the EQ5D only one dimension is about the mental health. In this part you have also dimensions about mood, relationships, and future outlook, in which you can also see the differences in that. So for us, what I already said, we developed a package and a Shiny. For now, I want to highlight 2 because those are the main functions which we use. We also looked at that at the EQ5D package also so also credits for that, also to look how they did it, because I think people also use at the EQ5D package are really usable. So we wanted also to make it even as usable as EQ5D. So we use like the MHQoL, in which you can calculate the utilities, and the MHQoL LSS, in which you can calculate the different output scores. Because that's also important for the different dimensions which I already addressed, like for example the mood and self-image dimension. You also want to have the scores itself. You can also get the value set itself. Right now it's just one because we only did a DC for the discrete choice experiment for the Netherlands, so we only have one utility value data set. And you can also use the Shiny tool within the R package itself by using the Shiny MHQoL function. You can also, we try to make it as, how do you say it, as useful as possible. Also for what I already addressed, for people who don't have any experience at first. So also that if you just have the input in text, for example in Excel, that you can also recalculate it into scores and also present the results. So you can have the input in scores, but also the input in text, but also recalculate it the other way around. So for example, if you have the input, or you have the input in scores, you can also look back at what is the text below the score, like the answer below the score. And you can use both, which I already said. So for example, within the MHQoL utility, you can recalculate everything within the utility, so for the different dimensions, and also in a total utility score, but also in scores itself, so level sum scores, you can recalculate it within the scores. And now I hope I can let you see something within the Shiny. We call it the MHQoL cooker. I didn't mention it yet, but if I tell, we work together on it with Eline and Frederik Thiele, who is online, I think. And what we try to do also is what I said, is the MHQoL cooker itself. So you translate the scores to a utility, or from the text to a score or a utility. And the reversed MHQoL cooker is you have a score or a utility and you want to go back to the text itself and the answers itself. So for example, I already downloaded like the examples, and if you have an example data set, so it's in this one, it's in text, so it's the text which I previously mentioned, like in the answers. And you can get the scores back itself, so you can get the level sum scores, you get the different scores, you can also choose for the utilities itself, and you get the utilities back. But you can also present the results immediately, so if you press on create a plate, you can choose, for example, also for a grouping variable, so you can choose which groups you want. So for example, if you want to make a comparison for the groups, you get summary statistics for those two, what the level sum score is for the different means. You can also choose at the first one which dimension you want. So you can also, for now it's overall, but you can also choose for the for independence, mood, relationships. And you can also, for example, get a radar chart out of it to see how the different groups, how they are compared to each other, and you can also download them back to your computer. So for that was the part of the scoring, and then the actual work started also, or Robert also addressed before, that at first I also wanted to make the Shiny very nice, but the exercise itself, or the paper which we wanted to make, was the psychometric evaluation, and that started now. So we did the internal consistency, so it's what I already addressed. It's not really advanced R, but it's just also a roadmap for people who want to do a psychometric evaluation on R to use. Construct validity, so measurement invariance tests, spearmint rank correlation coefficients, multi-level regression analysis, and for convergent validity we also use the spearmint rank correlation coefficients. So at first, we use the LTM. I don't know if you can read that quite good, but the LTM package, it's very easy to use, so you can use the LTM package and you can use the Cronbach alpha for the dimensions, and it's just to get an internal consistency out of it, so how the different dimensions are correlated with each other, because you want to have a high correlation between the different items to get a good questionnaire. then we did, the examples away, but then we did a measurement and variance test. So we wanted to look in the different countries, because we did a psychometric evaluation in different countries, to look whether they measured the same construct across groups. Without it, the comparison they may be biased or invalid. So we did we measured different levels. We did the configural, so whether there is the same structure, the metric, if there are equal loadings across the variables, and scalar, whether there are equal loadings and intercepts across the different levels. You can also do the residual, so that's equal residual variances. We didn't do that because that's, I think, one step too far for this measurement instrument, and we couldn't get it because we already had, for the scalar invariance, we had to freeze some loadings or freeze some intercepts also to get the results, which I can show over here. So this is like the output table in which we look what the fit was when we did like extra constraints, when we implemented extra constraints. And we used the Lavaan package for that. It's also very easy to do. So you have you have the model itself, and then when you are going from the configural model to the metric model, you just put the equal loadings. If you want the scalar model, you just add like the equal intercept. And you have also still the possibility to free some loadings, which I put over here. We also had to do that because our scalar invariance was not good enough what we wanted to have for the fit. Then we did the Spearman's rank correlation coefficients, which is just in base R. We wanted to look whether the correlation was the same with other questionnaires, mental health questionnaires, because you also want a high correlation with other mental health questionnaires, especially within the mental health quality of life questionnaire. And we use Spearman rank correlation and not Pearson because we use it on ordinal data, which are already addressed, like so 5 levels. But you can also use it for Pearson, for example. Just put it over here, like in the method, you can use Pearson or Spearman. It doesn't matter. It's really, really easy to do. Yeah, this was the output for an example output. And the last step which we did was a multi-level regression. What we wanted to do was look whether the different dimensions of the MHQoL had an influence on the MHQoL VAS, because that would, you also expect that it would have an influence. But we also wanted to look whether aspects of the EQ5D had an influence on the MHQoL itself, to see whether there was a correlation between the dimensions of the EQ5D and quality of life of that on the MHQoL. So what I already said, that was those 2 research questions, and we used the multi-level regression to account for the hierarchy, and we had 2 covariates, so age and gender, and country also. So we compared 2 model types, a random intercept model, so the intercepts vary across the countries, and a random intercept slope model, so both intercepts and slope vary across countries. And the likelihood ratio test, it favored the random intercept only, so it was the best model. So this is how it was done in R. So we used the LME4 package with LMER as to fit the models also, and to then using ANOVA to check the fits between those 2. So for now, I think R provides a very easy and usable framework also to use within a psychometric evaluation. Yeah, we used the specialized packages, the LTM for Toolbox Alpha, Lavaan for confirmatory factor analysis and measurement invariance, and the LME4 for multi-level regression. And we developed the MHQoL R package and Shiny F for standardized scoring and reproducibility and ease of use. So that was the presentation about the MHQoL and the how to do psychometric evaluation within R. I don't know if there are any questions about it. Any questions, Christine? Yeah.
Thanks for this nice presentation. So my question is is it working? So my question is, I noticed there's one option in the Shiny app is whether to include the missing data or not.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, did you implement any algorithms to impute the missing data?
No, that's not for imputation. So it's just only when you're missing data, you can use it like that. So we did not choose. We did not have an additional for imputation, but it would be a nice option, I think.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So because when we usually do this in our clinical trial data, it always happens that we could have the missing data. So that's why usually we would implement some imputations for the missing data. So that would be very nice to have it in this Shiny app.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think so too. And I think also that it would be nice when I'm thinking about it to also include like maybe an overview if you want to include the missings, how many missings per dimension you have and per group, so that you also can see within these summary statistics when you're, for example, only an Excel user, that you can already see like, do we have to do an imputation or not? Because what you're saying, you always have missings, but you also want to see how many missings there are and whether they are random or not.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question from the chat. So is the mental health quality of life Shiny Toolbox designed for scalability, for example, being embedded in digital health platforms?
Yeah, you could use it within an app or something, for example, within a platform itself. It's not really developed for it right now, but we could develop it in that kind of way. Yeah, so it's possible. We are just working on the first steps also for the introduction.
Any more questions for Steve? I can ask one. So I guess that what you've developed is very mental health specific, but I think people will be looking at adaptations of this to other disease-specific instruments. How flexible is it, what you develop to apply to other disease areas?
I think the Shiny tool itself, and I think also the package is also, I think it's really flexible because it's not really a very difficult calculation to do. It's just like the transformation of the different text or codings within an output, for example, the utilities or the level sum scores. So you could also do that. It's just some lines of code in which you're doing that. So I think you could also just take that and change like the MHQoL dimensions for dimensions of another kind of questionnaire, and then you could also use the same.